Okay, we're back doing C++ by request. And the request at this point is to talk about C++ classes and objects, which is a little out of order. I mean, we did basically basic functions and types in the first video, and then we did iterators and conditionals in the second video, and now we're jumping all the way over to classes, but that's okay. So in the normal progression of events, there would be an emphasis on structures next after arrays. And the reason is that structures allow you to go and manage structured data, like for example, like an address form, like first, last, address, zip code, and all that sort of stuff. You can bundle all that up into a set of related fields, and that's called a structure. And classes in C++ layer functionality on top of structures. So given a piece of data, let's just say, for example, a Dungeons and Dragons character and their stats, the methods associated with that, like getting the strength, having it convert to a string so you can print it out and look at it, all those would be in the class along with the data. So it's all nice and contained. And actually, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go build a D&D character generator using C++ classes. Okay, so let's jump on over to the terminal. And I'm going to go to my 2021 CS101 course and create a directory called D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Create a new file called dind.cpp, and then bring up VS Code. Okay, so let's get right to it. So we're going to create a class for a character. And a character is going to have some stats, some statistics. Those would be things like strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, charisma, constitution. That was the other one. And those are going to be what we call private member variables. So any data is called a member variable, and then any function in the class is called a member method, or just variables and methods, whatever way you like it. And they can either be private, which means only the stuff in the class, the methods in the class can actually access that data, or they can be protected, meaning that that class and any derived classes, which we'll get to in a bit, can access that data, or public, meaning that anybody can call or access that data or those methods. So the statistics we're going to call private. And at that point, you just use the type, and let's see, in this case, we'll call it statistics. And I think there's 6 of them, so we'll just start off like that. You could use things like STL vectors and other stuff for this. I'm just kind of working on what you might know already. And then on the public side, we will have what's called a constructor. So that's a method that's going to get called when you create the class to initialize it, to get it set up, get it going. And that can actually take some arguments. In this case, I mean, we may add a name later or something like that, but we'll just start off with nothing. And we basically just want to go and generate a whole bunch of those statistics. We want to go and roll 3d6 for each one of those. So let's go and do that first. So we'll go create a for loop, create an integer to walk through it, check that it's less than 6. Not a big fan of hard-coded variables like that, but that's fine, or hard-coded constants. And then we're going to go set the value of those statistics one by one to be some sort of random number. Let's call that roll dice and give it 6. And then we'll just call that 3 times, and that gives you your 3d6. So let's go define roll the dice there. We're going to have to include random, because we need a random. And our roll dice is going to return an integer like that. And then we'll just do what we've done in the past. So return a random number, modded 6. Well, I guess, hold on. Let's go and make that a value. So top, I guess, number of pips. I don't know. Is that the way that they say it in Dice World? I don't know. Anyway, so we take in that 6. We give back, basically 3d6. So there you go. And now we want to create a main to actually call this thing. So let's return 0 out of our int main. And the first thing we need to do is make sure that we start up the random number generator. So we're going to use that srand and give it some sort of integer. It could be anything we want, not queues, but a lot of numbers like that. But really, we want something unique all the time, so we use time for that. You could use 0, you could use null. I think null is 0, so it really doesn't matter. Let's see, have any problems so far? What's your problem? Oh, I'm expecting a semicolon, right? So the end of a class, for reasons I honestly don't know, needs a semicolon at the end of it. And then let's get rid of the sidebar there. We don't really need that. And it will bring up the terminal, but I'll put it on the right-hand side. There we go. In order to use it, you define it just like you would any other type. We're defining new types here. So we're going to say character, and we'll call this guy Elric the fighter. There you go. There's Elric, and that's going to basically initialize an Elric. Now, we don't have any way to actually get any data out of this, because I go to Elric the fighter and I ask for statistics, right? That's private. I'm not going to be able to get access to that. So we need some way to access that. So I'm going to go and create an enumeration. Enum. We'll call it statistics. And this is just a list of all of the statistics. And this is going to be, we're going to use that to dereference the individual items in this array, right? And so the first statistic, I believe, in D&D world is strength. We'll set that to 0. So it'll be the 0th index into that array. And then intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution. There we go. Something like that. And finally, charisma. I think that's the right one at the end there, right? So is there 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yo, that's the way. Okay, so let's go and create an accessor. So these are functions like get strength that access member variables. And the nicety of that this is, let's go and implement this first, statistics, and then use that strength to say that we want, basically this is just gonna be 0. So this is the 0th item, strength equals 0, and then intelligence is gonna, by default, the way the mechanics of enum work, this is gonna be 1 and 2 and 3, but you don't have to specify it. C++ is going to do that for you. It's one of the few things C++ does for you, so you might as well take advantage of it. Okay, so we got this accessor here, and the nicety there is in a really big complex program, you could put a breakpoint on here when you're debugging and stepping through the execution, and you could basically say, oh, okay, so somebody's getting the strength and they're doing interesting things with it. So there you go. But in this case, I just want to go and put that out. So I'm going to use cout, and then on Elric the fighter, I'm going to say get strength. And so now we need to bring in IO stream, right? And let's see, we have an endl there. Oh, and I also need to use that namespace, right? So using namespace, standard, make it easy on ourselves. Okay, VS Code thinks we're happy, and when VS Code thinks we're happy, generally speaking, we're happy. So let's see, G++, D&D, CPP, -O, D&D, and then if that's good, then run it. Wow, that was incredibly slow. Why was that so slow? My machine today, it's just not happy. Okay, so there you go. It is returning different statistics each time. 7, 13, 13, and 8. Cool. All right. Well, let's just finish that off then. Let's go and create our accessors for each one of these. Intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, and finally, charisma. And that would be a full set of your accessors for the different parts and pieces of Elric the Fighter. So let's go do one more example here. Give it a space, and then we'll do get dexterity. How about that? 10 and 13. I guess that's good. Not really great for a fighter to have more dexterity than the strength, I guess. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is show you how to, let's just format this guy for display. So let's see. I'm going to create a member function. We'll call it get formatted display, I guess. Something like that, And it's going to return a string. But we kind of like this see out thing with the multi-chevrons and whatnot. And how about we use what's called a string stream like this. And that basically gives us exactly the same thing as the see out thing, except that the target, instead of being see out, the console, is a string. So we'll go and bring that in. String stream. Try saying that 10 times fast. And now down in here, we'll create one. We'll call it string stream. I don't know, we'll call it str or something, or formatted string. Sure. And then the way that we return that, because we now need to get from a string stream back into a string, is we do dot and then str. And that basically takes that stream that we created and turns it back into a string. So down here, we're going to call get formatted display on Elric the Fighter. And now we got to go and add some stuff to it. So let's go do that. Let's go make a bunch of dashes there, and then end of line. And then let's go and format string, bring in strength. And then we can just use that on ourselves. We can use our own member functions, just like that. Just good to go, like that. So there we go. VS Code happy, I'm happy, everybody's happy. So let's go, let's do that again. Strength of 7. Excellent. I'm also going to add a little clear up at the top here, just so we keep it at the top of the screen, because I know I'm going to be down in the corner there, so it keeps it away from my ugly mug. Okay. So, well, strength isn't the only thing about this person, this character. We also want the rest of it. So let's just go real fast. Get intelligence. It's called intelligence. Wisdom's called wisdom. Curiously. Dexterity. Constitution. I'm not going to try misspelling that one again. That was embarrassing. And then charisma. And then just to make it nice, I'm going to kind of line up everything. Some spaces there. Beauteous. All right, let's give it a go. Oh my gosh, look at that. Well, that is not a great fighter. Although good constitution, so a good tank, I guess. But there you go. Bang. Like how fast is that to go and make a little D&D character generator? But, it could be, let's face it, between you and me, this could be better, right? So let's go and have kind of, like a class in here. So let's say that we want the class, character class. And we'll just put a colon, and then we'll say get class. Endl. And we're going to make a function in here. It's called getClass, and it's going to return a string. But we really don't know yet what the class is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and use inheritance. So what inheritance allows you to do is in C++ classes, in object-oriented programming, you create a nested set, a hierarchy of classes. And so, for example, a fighter might descend from characters. So you think about a tree, you got character up at the top, and then underneath that, there might be fighter and wizard, and then under wizard, I don't know, maybe monk or something like that. Who knows? Right? I'm kind of mixing up Diablo and D&D. But so let's go create our fighter class. All right, so create a new class, call it fighter. And we are going to extend, and the way that you do that is colon, and then public. We want to publicly inherit from character. And that basically gives fighter everything that the character had plus whatever it has. And in this case, I just want to basically say, okay, yeah, for fighter, go and override that get class and say fighter, like that. And we'll make this public because it's also public in the other one. And what this should do, and won't actually yet, I'll go tell you why in a second, is it should give you fighter, because this little piece of code here should go and call get class on whatever it is. Well, one, I haven't said fighter yet, so let's go and fix that, but it's still not going to work. And the reason is a little bit peculiar to C++. So C++ is all about efficiency. All about efficiency. And when it first came out, there was, you want to be able to have things like this, overrides, but there's a cost to it. It's called a V-table. And if you don't want that functionality, you don't want that V-table. So you kind of have to ask for it. And so the way that you ask for it, you say virtual. So this basically means that any subclass of a character can then, by its own option, go and override get class. So let's try this again and see if it works. Now there you go. Okay, cool. So now get class. So now fighter comes like this character class. As it's going through here, it's getting all of its strength and all that sort of stuff. And then when it comes to get class, it says, hey, do I have an override for get class? Oh, yes, I do. That's fighter down here, and we're going to go and call fighter. So that was pretty cool, but I want to show a little bit more about how to kind of use this hierarchy of stuff. So I'm going to go and create a new constructor for fighter. And what fighter that's going to do is it's going to, once it's gone and figured out all this strength and intelligence, wisdom, all that, it's going to prioritize the statistics. And I'm getting that wrong. Statistics. There we go. And I'll call this a private method. Right? And what this is going to do, this is going to go and take all of these numbers, in this case, 12, 5, 8, all of that. It's going to sort them, and then it's going to reallocate them in order of priority for a fighter. So in this case, well, that's actually good. 12 would be the top one, so that's going to go to strength. And maybe 11 would go to constitution. I don't know. You get to decide what that looks like. But how do you do all this sorting and stuff, right? So let's go and bring in a few new things. One is vector. And we're going to use that to make a copy of these and then apply a sort algorithm to it. So include algorithm, which has sort in it. So let's go over here to this. Vector is basically an array, just a nice wrapper around array. And then algorithm has a lot of these cool things like sort as an example, right down here. So you can apply a sort. In this case, it actually has it as an example. So here's a bunch of integers, and then it goes and creates a vector of those integers, and then it sorts them, which is exactly what we want to do. So let's go and copy this code out. So we'll create a new vector of integers. Go down here. And in here, we're going to call it statistics. Go and get the name of it because I'm mistyping this. So here we go. And that's going to be 6 because there's 6 statistics. But so what? I'm getting some errors here. What are my errors? Problems. Explicit missing type. Oh yeah, okay, that's true. Void, sure. And then character statistics is actually, and I can't see it because it's off the screen there, is inaccessible. So why is that? Well, okay, let's go back over here first, over to terminal. There we go. Cool. Well, as I mentioned earlier, private is actually private to any descending classes. So even descendants of character can't see statistics. But I think that's a little bit harsh, so I'm going to make that protected. And now the fighter class can go see that. So we got our vector of integers. And now we want to go and sort them. So let's see, sort. And we take that vector and we say, I want to go from the beginning to the end and sort it. And then sort is actually going to go in ascending order, meaning the lowest first. And I just for, because I think that's not quite right in this case, I want to reverse it. And that's another thing that you get from algorithm is the ability to reverse stuff. So this is really, a lot of cool functionality here for free. So while we're there, let's just go and dump a couple of these vectors. 0, space, 1. And let's, 1, make sure that this is actually going to run. And 2, make sure that's actually sorting well. So here we go. So cool. Nice. All right. So we started up. We initialized ourselves, and then we ran prioritize statistics because that's in our constructor for a fighter. That went and copied the statistics into the array, into this vector. It sorted it. It reversed it. And now 13 is the highest, so it went at the front. And then the second one became 12. So that's actually real good. Awesome. Cool. So now we just have to go and set this stuff. So we need to create some setters. So these are getters. So let's go create some setters and then make them protected. So again, we'll go back into protected space. Pop that in there. And I'll go say, okay, I'm not returning anything from my getter, my setters. So I'm going to go and say void set, like that. And then each one of these is going to take an integer value. They don't return anything, so we'll just get rid of that. And then at this point, all I need to do is pop in equals and value, like that. All right, so pop all the way down here. Away we go. Cool. And now I can say, okay, so for a fighter, I want to set the strength to the first item in my vector, which would be the highest value that I got back from my sort. And then what else? So I want to set all 6 parameters based on my weighting. So the next one would be for a fighter, I want to say constitution, and then dexterity. Don't want to drop your sword there. And then let's go charisma. You want to be dashing, be the hero. Intelligence, or wisdom maybe, and then intelligence. So wisdom. Okay, cool. And then we'll just put them all in that order. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Nice. Okay, let's try this out. There we go. Cool. Okay, so our fighter got created. And then I don't know where that 15 was, but it ended up in strength. And then constitution was 10. Dexterity is 8. This is a garbage character. But big on strength, so that's cool. Anyway, so kind of fun. The ability there to go and prioritize your stats like that, make it kind of neat. Let's do the same thing for like a wizard. Let's go check that out. So wizard, and we'll call that wizard. And in this case, so what do we want? We want intelligence, I would say, would be number 1. And then probably wisdom. Then constitution, don't want to die all the time. And then probably charisma, dexterity, and finally strength at the end there. So like I could reorder those, doesn't really matter, but there you go. So let's go and then make a wizard. Call this Harry, the wizard. Let's see how Harry does. Okay, so let's fire this up again. Nice. Okay, cool. Harry has an above average intelligence, I guess, and then wisdom, and got a lot of 10s there. Pretty evenly balanced character. So good one. All right, and finally, let's have some fun with this. Let's go and add a name. So I'm going to take name as a string, and I'm just going to copy that. I'll call this in name coming in. We'll say name equals in name. And then down here, we have to go and add that name. So let's see. Okay. And the way that we call that in the base class, I think, was character in name. Is that right? Hey, wow, it's all coming back to me. I haven't done this in many, many moons, but that's cool. So how do we do that down here? Well, we just go and do that and then say Elric, I guess. And this guy is Harry. Okay, let's just see if this blows up. Might blow up, might not. Oh, it didn't blow up. Yay! Okay, cool. And then we'll finally output that as the name. So let's see, name. And we'll just put in name. Does it work? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. All right, so that's a pretty decent D&D character generator. And, a decent introduction to the world of C++ classes. So enjoy, have some fun with that. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, be sure to put those in the comment section down below. And I do have a Discord server. There is a link to that in the description. Jump on the Discord server and have a chat with us about anything you want, including C++. I'm probably be the only person there who can answer your questions about that, but I'd be happy to. Of course, in the meantime, feel free to like and share this video with your friends. Hit that subscribe button if you want to. But in the meantime, be happy, be healthy, and be safe.